Welcome, Red, to the 100% United pod. I'm your host, TC, and today I'm flying solo. My wingman, Scott, is on the road for a number of days, so thought I'd bring you a show anyway. I know most of you are stuck at home. So on today's show, I'll be taking you through the latest Manchester United news and transfer rumours, and looking at the football landscape with all games still suspended. Now, the UEFA have said that the Champions League and Europa League are now definitely postponed until the 24th of June and the 27th of June, respectively. And the Premier League is definitely suspended until the 30th of April as well. Now, Boris Johnson has come out yesterday and put the UK on lockdown for at least 3 weeks. Now, that takes us up to the 13th of April. Now, that gives the league another sort of 17 days after the lockdown, the official government lockdown finishes, to try and get football up and running again. Now, I just wonder whether there's been some kind of conversation between the people at the top of the Premier League and the people in the government and try to put together some kind of timeline. I know the government and the powers that be are interested in some kind of entertainment being available for the public. It's obviously good for people, good for people's health, with everyone locked at home at the moment. So I wonder whether that really is a target. Look, I've mentioned already that that UEFA are planning to finish the season on the 24th, 27th of June. Now, that gives them a good 54 days to get the league finished. And that is doable. That is doable. The UEFA have talked about maybe one-legged ties as well. Maybe decided by a toss of a coin, the venue, which I think is a bit bonkers. But that's what they're talking about. Now, a couple of United legends have come out and given their opinions on what we should do to complete this season. Gary Neville was floating the idea of a festival of football, 9 games in 9 days. Now, that seems a bit mad to me. More realistic is maybe doing something like the Christmas schedule, where you have games and then 3-day rest, 2-day rest, 4-day rest. Now, look, you've got to remember, players are sitting at home now, so they're not doing their usual training regime. They're not doing the usual regime of playing a match every few days either. So they're effectively getting a break now. I don't mean to sound insensitive, but they are. They are at home, so they have had time to rest. Another United legend, a bit cheekily, Rio Ferdinand. We all know the situation with Liverpool standing on the brink of their first title for 30 years. Rio Ferdinand has said that the league should just be null and void and we should just write it all off now, which obviously we all like the sound of in terms of what it would do to Liverpool. But at the same time, we do also know that all 20 clubs have agreed to try to complete the season. They've all put their hat in the ring and said that's the right thing to do. Now, going forward, that's probably right. I think if we vetoed the season at this stage, then it may at some point in the future come back and bite us in the bum. So I think they've probably done the right thing. Woodward was praised for his openness in the meeting. And it looks like everybody, UEFA, the league, the government, everyone wants to try and get this season completed. Now, one thing I would look to avoid is having an impact on next season. I think if we can get this season has now been a disaster. We know everything's gone up in the air. As I've said, the UK is locked down for 3 weeks, which has never happened in my lifetime, never happened in almost everyone's lifetime. I think it's the most they're calling it the most draconian move in wartime Britain or regular Britain as well. So it's a really major thing. But if we can get this done by hook or by crook this season and then start next season afresh. But of course, that is taking in for granted that this is all going to be done and the coronavirus is going to have left the building by August. Now, that's something we can't guarantee. So we are, with all of these things, we are trying to look in a crystal ball, and none of us have one. We're following the guidelines that people are giving us, and they're changing all the time. The lockdowns are getting extended, and the league was postponed once. Now it's been postponed again to the 30th of April. But I wouldn't be surprised if they really tried to get that 30th of April date into play. Maybe behind closed doors, they're talking about. The big risk there is, of course, that supporters congregate outside the stadium like the PSG supporters did in the Champions League. But I suppose there's ways to avoid that as well. You can police off the area, and you can also just threaten people with big fines and arrests, of course. But people don't want to be using the police forces at this stage. It's a very, very hard time indeed to try and organise anything. But it does seem that they're going to try and get something done. So looking to get some football back on our screens by May, and then we'd have a 2-month race to complete the season. Although I don't like the sound of this deciding which venue the one-legged ties in the quarters and semis of the Europa League would be by the toss of a coin. That seems a bit to me, but that's the way it stands at the moment. So we're all in limbo, and we don't really know what's going on. So at this stage, the transfer mayhem has started early. The silly season has come a couple of months early this year, so we're getting linked to a lot of different players at the moment. Some of the links seem far-fetched and some of them seem a bit more realistic. And so just going to have a look through some of the names that have been popping up and the likelihood of them coming our way. We'll start with Odion Ighalo. Now, his loan actually finishes on the 31st of May. Now, for all intents and purposes, this season is going to be continuing past the 31st of May, so something has to be done about that. Of course, he's meant to be going back to China, and normally loans finish a month later, so it does make it a bit tricky for Ighalo. Of course, with other player contracts, you have that end of June expiry date in general, so that again would work in terms of what UEFA and the Premier League are trying to do now. Apparently, the price for Ighalo to sign permanently is £15 million. And we are hearing today that United are going to exercise that. We're going to keep him on a permanent. He's obviously taken the bull by the horns. He's hit the ground running. He's been scoring goals. Hold-up plays have been fantastic. His attitude has been exemplary. And it looks like we're going to sign him to a more permanent deal. Something that I wouldn't be averse to, actually. With the other players we've been linked to, we have been linked to Harry Kane in recent weeks, and that's one that just seems, look, he's obviously at Tottenham, so he would come at an absolute premium. We'd have to pay top dollar for him. He misses a hell of a lot of games these days through injury, and I would look more towards keeping Ighalo, letting Anthony Martial, Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood rotate through that top spot, number 9, and get in a bit of magic. We've got a lot of pace. We could do with someone a little bit tricky, and I really do like the sound of the Jadon Sancho rumours picking up pace now. He's 19 years old. He's actually 20 years old tomorrow on the 25th of March. He would cost, they're talking about £100 million. Now, of course, we don't know how transfer fees are going to be affected by this virus and this upheaval in the world, and how player movement's going to be affected as well. I would have thought Manchester United are going to be in a strong position. We've got a lot of money in the bank. We don't rely on money coming in month by month, day by day to stay alive like some other clubs do. So Jadon Sancho, there's that number 7 shirt waiting for him. Obviously a legendary number at United. It's been left vacant, and it's had a little bit of a journey since Cristiano Ronaldo. Of course, we had Michael Owen, we had Antonio Valencia. We had also Memphis Depay, who have all struggled to fill that number 7 shirt, which of course before had David Beckham, Eric Cantona, Cristiano Ronaldo, George Best, Brian Robson, filling that shirt. Just a little pointer, if you haven't listened to our Eric Cantona special podcast that we did last week, jump on that. It was loads of fun. Me and Scott rolling back the years and just describing what it was like and how Eric changed our club. So get that in your ears as well. I know you've got lots of time on your hands. So Jadon Sancho, look, young, fits in well, knows the boys well. He's good friends with Rashford. And it seems like it might be the right time for him to return to Manchester. Of course, Manchester City, a youth product, so he would be coming back to show that Manchester really is red, and that would be fantastic. Another name that has popped up in the last few days is Antoine Griezmann. Obviously, 29 years old. He is well, Barcelona apparently are going to be offering him around. I just wonder. Look, Griezmann's a great option too. He can play up front. He can play out wide. He can play off the front men. He would bring some experience to a front line that is not so experienced, and he would also bring that creativity. He would, if Paul Pogba stayed, he would obviously rekindle that partnership he has for France with Paul Pogba. I just wonder whether Antoine Griezmann might be used to lure Neymar back to Barcelona. It seems that Griezmann obviously is French. Neymar is pining for a return to Catalonia, and I just wonder whether that just seems a bit too obvious a one to me, that Griezmann goes one way and Neymar goes the other, and Barcelona don't have to fork out a fee that they probably can't afford for Neymar. So that's another one that, look, we'd obviously take, but I don't think it's going to be one that happens, really. Timo Werner is another one. Leipzig have said that they are open to selling Werner. They said that there is going to be upheaval, there's going to be uncertainty, and they would be willing to get rid of the 24-year-old Timo Werner. Now, look, he's a player with a bit of magic in his boots. He's a player who would fit in to what Ollie's trying to do. And again, it's one we'll just have to wait and see. But either of those options from Germany would seem a right fit at this moment in time. The old one that always pops up. I haven't got Scott on air today to take the mick out of me for it, but Gareth Bale's popped up again. Apparently, Real Madrid are trying to get rid of him again, and he will be available as well. Now, look, he comes on massive wages. He is also 31 in July, so when we bought him, if we did, he would be 31 years old, and we said this ship had sailed last summer, so I mean, surely the ship has sailed again this summer. And but you just never know, do you? And it's a possibility, but I would suggest it might be one of the younger, trickier players that comes in into the forward line. Keep Igalo, keep the lineup we've already got up there, and let them flourish. In the midfield, we've got another new name popped up again. Well, it's an old name and a new name. Saul Niguez from Atletico. Looking to, he's got 130 million release clause. He's only 25. He does everything, of course. He's box to box. He's creative. He gets stuck in. He's a magic player. He's the kind of player you couldn't really turn down if he became available. But it just depends on the fee, of course. And it also, I suppose, depends on what we have in that midfield, because at the moment we've been playing fantastically well. With Bruno, Fred, Matic, Scott McTominay, of course, as well in there. They've been functioning fantastically. But as we've said at the start of the season, in the middle of the season, that squad depth is so crucial. It's all very well playing well for weeks on end, and then someone gets an injury and we're back to square one. So it really does depend on the old Paul Pogba dilemma again. In recent weeks, we've again had a prepping of the press that Paul Pogba now is intending to stay at Old Trafford. Now, this is almost like the boy who cried wolf. I've heard it too many times that he's going to be happy, and now things have changed. He's getting on a bit now, as of course he's 27 years old. Apparently, he's spoken to Mino Raiola and the club, and intervened, and basically said, look, to Raiola that to stop being so incendiary in his comments about the club. But he's been doing it for the last few years now. So, I mean, if people are lauding Pogba for this move, and if Pogba has the power to do that, why didn't he do that in the beginning? Again, it just seems that maybe they realise, with the way the landscape is now, with the uncertainty around the virus, with the uncertainty around whether Real Madrid can actually afford him at the price we want to sell him, that he's sort of making sure that it's possible for him to stay and probably get another boost on his contract as well. What I really don't want is Paul Pogba to come in and then affect Bruno Fernandes. If he comes back in, then Bruno's got to stay in that position. He's got to be stay exactly having the status in the team that he does at the moment, because Bruno's just lit up Old Trafford. He's done exactly what Pogba should have been doing for these years. He's proven that you can make a team better rather than demand that a team around you is better. And let's see. Look, if Pogba with the right attitude and Bruno could be made to play in the same team, then yeah, that could be fireworks. It could be absolutely magical. But also, Fred's been superb recently. Matic has been holding the midfield well as well. And we've obviously got Scott McTominay, the heart and soul of Manchester United. So there's the midfield is looking a lot better in terms of options and strength than it was at the start of the season. That's one thing for sure. Now, Jack Grealish has been linked as well, only 24 as well. Personally, I would prefer a holder, a more defensive player, maybe Thomas Partey, to let Bruno stay running free. I prefer seeing Bruno pulling the strings. I like seeing Bruno in the position he's in at the moment. So personally, I'd like to see us keep Bruno up there, maybe get a more defensive player. Keep Matic, of course. His contract has been extended by another year. So, but as we know with Matic, he plays very well. But if he plays too many games, he seems to sort of just hit the buffers after a while. So, if we can keep Matic in there, keep him as an option, and then maybe sign a younger, more defensive midfielder as well, along with McTominay, along with Matic, along with Fred. Look, and that really means that if Pogba stayed or went, it wouldn't matter so much. But of course, we'd have a lot more money to spend if Paul Pogba did leave as well. So it's massively uncertain. We don't even know when the transfer window is going to be. So another name that always pops up when we're talking about Pogba leaving is Milinkovic-Savic. He again is a great option, only 25 years old as well. It would be if Pogba went, then I'd certainly not turn my nose up at that. And I know me and Scott have said, I know Scott's very adamant that Pogba will be going, but I just wonder what effect this upheaval is going to have on everyone. I think all the best laid plans are going to be torn up, and things are really not going to look the same after this all blows over. When it blows over, if it blows over, it seems to be getting worse and worse at the moment. So we will see with that. But the great thing is the midfield is looking a lot better. Obviously, James Maddison is another name that has been linked throughout the months, but it's got a bit quiet on Maddison, hasn't it? And Grealish seems to be the Englishman who is the one that United want now. Of course, the one big worry was that Grealish maybe would get into the Euro 2020 squad, get an England cap, and his price would skyrocket. But England aren't going to be playing for a while. And one thing I will say, I do hope that Ed Woodward is going to use this time to prep deals, to make sure that he's lining up. He knows he's got all his everything lined up and ready for when the transfer window does open, because we've heard from him so many times that it's so hard to get it done in one transfer window. Well, you've got an extended transfer window now. Effectively, you can get them lined up and just have them ready to sign. So hopefully he's using this to really make this a big one. I think it might be a big one for United. I think, look, they were looking at Pochettino. If Ollie didn't finish the season strongly, I don't know exactly what the plan is with that now. It looks like Ollie is here to stay for a while. If he is, you've got to back him. We've got to have a proper war chest. We haven't done it for a while. We haven't done it for a while where we go out and really make a statement after statement after statement to say, look, we're really trying to get back to the top. I do have a feeling that this is going to affect other clubs quite a lot. And this really might be a chance for us to take advantage of a very bad situation and just use our power, exert our dominance a little bit, and splash the cash, get in some players that can really get us back to the top of the party. Because we have shown flashes. Some of our younger players are really flourishing. So I'm hoping that Woodward is all hands to the pump in Shea Woodward at the moment. Look, in defence, we seem to be pretty well stocked at the moment. It looks like Phil Jones will leave in the summer or whenever the window is. I have to say it's probably the right decision. Ollie's not using him over Christmas. We We were sort of tearing our hair out thinking that Maguire and Lindelof were going to get injured. They were playing together every week, and Jones was just not getting played at all. He was not giving it any starts, any minutes at all. So it looks like Jones will go. Chris Smalling is apparently happy to take a pay cut to stay at Roma. If that's the case, then we are going to be a little bit short in terms of numbers in defence. One of the old names, Kalidou Koulibaly, has popped up recently. He's 29 in late June, so we would be signing him. Of course, central defenders mature a bit later. So, I mean, if we could get him for a decent price, then yeah, but we're not going to spend 90 to 100 million on the centre-back. It's just not going to happen now. So, the other name that has been doing the rounds is Diego Godin from Inter Milan. He's been shafted by Conte. He's not really interested in him anymore at Inter Milan now. He will be, he's 34, he'll be 35 in next February. That might be a good option. With the centre-back options we have, with the fact we sometimes play three at the back, with the fact we do lack leaders in the team. Of course, Bruno's come in and added a bit of leadership to that team. That might be a good short-term option. If we could get him on the cheap, I wouldn't say no to that in terms of experience, in terms of a different type of option, gritty defender. Might worry a little bit about the pace factor if Maguire and Godin were playing together. What I'm really hoping is that Eric Bailly can avoid injury and he can stay fit for a long period of time. Because really, if Maguire and Bailly could stay fit alongside Maguire, then I'm happy as Larry with that. I love Eric Bailly. I think he's so fun to watch. He's fantastic in the air. He's good with the ball at the feet. He does just bonkers things that, it's clearances off the line, last-ditch tackles that you just don't see other players do at the moment. He's a great character too. I would love him to stay fit, but he just hasn't shown us that he can. So if we had Lindelof, Bailly, Maguire, and someone a little bit more experienced in there as well, centre-back wise, we've got Tuanzebe, of course. I would say that we're pretty well done as centre-back as well. Left-back, of course, you've got Luke Shaw and Brandon Williams. Luke Shaw has been exemplary in the last few weeks. He's really, really shone. Brandon's had a great season, a really good season indeed. And over on the right, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. What a signing! He's been brilliant. And we've got Ethan Laird coming through too. So we're fine there. And of course, between the sticks, we've got David De Gea on a massive contract. Looks like he won't be going anywhere at all. Dean Henderson, I would suspect, will probably go out on loan again for another year. And Sergio Romero looks like he might finally leave Old Trafford this summer, I think. So we might need a backup keeper. But that'll pretty much be it. I mean, I'll be happy with that. Like I say, I think one thing I must say is that Mason Greenwood has had an absolutely outrageous season for his age. You know, I was looking through our options and looking at the striker options, and when you talk about, I have to mention that Alexis Sanchez is going to be sent back from Inter Milan because he hasn't done it over there. And you look at what Mason's done this season compared to what Sanchez did in a red shirt, and it's night and day. It's shameful actually for Alexis Sanchez that Mason Greenwood has shone in the way that he has, because he's just been absolutely blinding. The goal output he's put, just in terms of the way he fits into the team wherever he's asked to play, he's an absolute gem, that one. So I'll be happy with that. If we could get a tricky player in alongside Rashford, Anthony Martial and Mason Greenwood, that'd be great up front. But Sanchez, we're still paying him as well. That's the mad thing. We're still paying him to play for Inter Milan or not to play for Inter Milan, and we might be stuck with him next season as well, because the wages are so astronomical that we won't be able to shift him unless we're going to be paying part of the wages. So that's a mental situation we got ourselves into. But like I say, the silver lining to the cloud is that Mason Greenwood's there too. Anyway, thanks for listening again. Remember to subscribe on your favourite podcast platform. Follow our Instagram at United100 Podcast. We'll be back in the next few days and we'll have another United Legends special again soon. Take care. Cheerio, Reds.